how's it going guys? My name is Ray, and today I'm going to show you a really simple comfort food recipe, beef ribs noodle soup. Let's cook!
So we're gonna start by preparing the base of our soup, which is the beef ribs itself. Get yourself some nice thick beef ribs like this. Cut them along the bones. And there you'll have some chunks of beef ribs that's ready to be seared for the stock base. Then we're just gonna season the beef ribs with some salt and white pepper. Massage the seasoning onto the beef thoroughly. Next, here I have some dried shiitake mushrooms that has been rehydrated with some warm water. All we have to do is just to take off the stems because they tend to be tough and fibrous. You can do it by hand or with knife like this, whichever convenient for you. And don't throw away the soaking water because it's very flavorful. It's pretty much mushroom stock. Next, you just cut the mushrooms into strips like so. And just put them together with the beef. And here we have some spices that we're gonna use with the stock. We have 1 Star Anise, a few pieces of cloves, probably about 2 to 3 pieces, and about 1 tablespoon of Coriander Seeds. And for the sake of making things easier for the recipe, I'm just gonna mix them up all together in one bowl like that, so we're gonna saute them all together. Next, we have about 3 big stalks of spring onions. I'm gonna use half of them for the stock, so we're gonna cut them into big chunks like this. And I'm gonna keep the other half for topping later. Next, we're gonna need to slice some ginger and garlic. You probably need about 1 thumb-sized piece of ginger and about 1 whole bulb of garlic. And just like the rest of the ingredients, we can combine them all together in one bowl. Normally I wouldn't do this, but since we're making a simple recipe, then here we go. If you wanna try to be a bit more sophisticated, I guess you can sear the beef separately first, then saute the vegetables together later. Next, heat up some oil in a pan or wok, whichever you prefer. Here I have about a 1/4 cup of oil that I'm just gonna heat up until smoking point. And once you know the oil is hot enough, dump in all the ingredients for the stock and try to saute them together until they change color, especially the beef. You want the beef to have some nice golden color on the outside before you dump in the rest of the ingredients. And when you're happy with the color of the beef and vegetables, you can go ahead and add in about half a cup of soy sauce. Give them a good mix. This is gonna help with the caramelization of the beef and vegetables. Followed by about 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Stir it well and make sure everything's coated. And when everything has been caramelized nicely like that, go ahead and add in about 1 liter of water, or simply until everything is submerged properly. Then just cover the whole thing and turn the heat down to medium-low. And we're just gonna let them simmer for about 90 minutes, stirring every 30 minutes. And every 30 minutes when you're checking your soup, don't forget to check the water level as well, in case it gets too dry. And while waiting for that, we're gonna prepare all the ingredients that we're gonna need for the last 10 minutes of cooking, along with the toppings. So here I have the rest of the spring onions from earlier. I'm just gonna cut them diagonally like so. Next up is 1 piece of tomato. I'm just gonna cut it into quarters like so. Here I also have some chilies. I'm just gonna use 2 chilies for the soup and another 2 for topping. So as you can see, I've separated some of the spring onions into a small bowl like so. This is what I'm gonna use for the topping. So I'm just gonna combine the chilies with the spring onions here. And last but not least, just for the greens, I'm just gonna use some bok choy here. All you have to do is just to cut the end like that and wash the leaves. And after the 90 minutes cooking process, you can check the meat and see if it's tender to your liking. And at this point, you should also check for the flavors. And at this point, I feel like the soup is pretty bland, so I'm just gonna add about 1 teaspoon of salt, followed by a few shakes of white pepper, as well as about half a ladle of soy sauce. That's probably about a quarter cup. And when you're happy with the flavors, you can add in the tomatoes, chilies, and spring onions. Simmer them for 1 minute and taste the flavors again because they're gonna change a lot of the flavors. You're gonna get more sweetness from the tomatoes, more freshness from the spring onions, and also a nice chili hit. And again, it's about adjusting the flavors to your liking, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more salt here, about a pinch. And when you're totally happy with the flavors, you can add in all the bok choys and turn off the heat. It is important to turn off the heat straight away because you don't want to overcook the bok choy. And since the soup is pretty much done, all we need is to cook the noodles. I'm just gonna cook them with similar fashion to pasta. Boiling water and a big pinch of salt. The only thing you can omit here is the oil. And in case you're curious, the noodle I'm using is mung bean noodles. I'm not sure if it's available everywhere else, but it is here in Indonesia. But of course you can use any noodles you want. Generally, egg noodles will work fine. So when the noodles are al dente, go ahead and scoop it up into a bowl. Find a decent sized bowl like so. And go ahead and grab the ribs and all the fillings from the soup. And finally pour over the soup until you can submerge the noodles. And you're pretty much ready to serve. And just before serving, don't forget to add the fresh toppings, some fresh spring onions, fresh chilies, and also some fried shallots. And there you have it guys, my simplified version of beef ribs noodle soup. I hope you like it.
I hope you like that simple recipe. As usual, you can find the full recipe down in the description box below, along with the links to my other videos. And while you're down there, don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get the latest update on my videos. And here are the links to my previous videos, so don't forget to check that out as well. And if you have any requests, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what you want to see me cook on this channel. And yeah, that'll be all for today. See you next week guys. Bye!